Hello, today we're going to talk about the virtue of justice from our Virtues in Practice program, and this is the April virtue. Um, so if we recall, virtues are those good habits that we're trying to develop so that we can increase in right action or become more like Jesus. We're trying to improve ourselves by practicing good habits. So, with the virtue of justice, we're going to look at what are the good habits that we need to start working on. So, first of all, we want to think about, what does justice mean to you? Maybe you think of when we talk in social studies, or you might hear other people outside talk about the justice system. And the justice system, you might think, oh, well, that's the judicial system where they will punish people who are commit crimes, or they'll free the people who are innocent. And that is part of justice. But justice is much, much more than that when we're thinking about the virtue and what justice is itself. So we want to look at exactly what justice is. According to Virtues in Practice, the definition is being fair and giving each his due. Well, that does go along with our justice system. It is about being fair. If someone's committed a crime, they should be punished. If someone is innocent, they should be freed. That's about being fair, right? But there's more to fairness than just crimes and innocence. And we want to look at about what we mean about this justice and fairness when it comes to the virtue. So what does it look like to practice the virtue of justice? Justice is, again, about being fair. And being fair, when we talk about it as a virtue, means that we're trying to make sure that every person has what he or she needs. And we want everyone to have their basic needs covered, whether that be food or clothing or shelter or care when they're sick, or so anything regarding their needs. We want to remember that we're all images of God. We are all made so specially, and we all have dignity, and we want to make sure that there is no one who is not getting their basic needs. So everyone should get at least those basic things. And that's part of the reason we have those works of mercy in our faith, right? Where we say, shelter the homeless, give food to the hungry, give drink to the thirsty. One thing we want to remember is that being fair does not mean that everyone gets exactly the same thing. We often complain when someone gets something that we don't get, and we go, oh, that's not fair. Why does she get that? Or why does he get that? That's not fair. But if that's what that person needs, that's what fairness truly is about. If a person is thirsty, you're not going to give them a Band-Aid. If a person is injured, you're not going to give them a little food to eat. You have to think about, what is it that this person needs and how can I supply that? And that is part of the virtue of justice. Other things in this virtue are things like playing games fairly. Are you being a good sport? Are you being fair? We don't want to cheat. We want to be playing the games correctly and politely. Justice also includes respecting authority. We should listen to our parents. We should listen to our teachers. We should listen to our leaders that we've voted in to lead us. We should listen to those people that are put in kind of charge of us. And that is part of justice. And treating other people with respect, whether they're authority or not, is part of it, because once again, we all have dignity. We all have this very special nature in being images of God. So everyone should be working hard to treat each other with respect and love and care. And that's what justice is about. being fair by being loving, being respectful, being giving, and making sure each person has exactly what they need. So justice is so much more than just figuring out whether someone's guilty or innocent. It's about making life better by making sure everyone has what they need. So let's look at this in our saint in action. So the virtue and practice saint for this month is Saint Katharine Drexel. And I want you to listen to her story. And as you're listening, I want you to think about, how does Saint Katharine's life show a good example of the virtue of justice? So Saint Katharine Drexel lived from 1858 to 1955 in the United States. Her feast day is March 3rd. And here is her story. Even though St. Catherine was born into a wealthy family, she was always taught to love and help the poor. When she grew up, she inherited a large portion of her family's fortune. Moved by her deep faith in God and the injustice suffered by many people in this country, she started the Sisters of Blessed Sacrament to help teach the Native Americans and African Americans who were denied a good education because of their race. She helped start many schools for Native Americans and African Americans in 13 different states, including Xavier University in New Orleans. So I want you to think, how did St. Katharine Drexel practice the virtue of justice? I want you on the Google Classroom to respond to our question about that, and we will also have a discussion together about that today. Thank you, and start working on that virtue of justice.